The unwritten permission slip. Why Black women deserve more than just survival. When I first sat down with Brandy Ward, I was struck by the quiet revolution happening within her eyes. Here was a woman whose life journey reads like a master class in resilience, becoming a mother at 16, surviving domestic violence, experiencing homelessness, and now at 46, finally claiming her full worthiness. Brandye isn't just sharing her story, she's illuminating a path for countless others walking through similar shadows. Her courage to speak her truth has created ripples of healing across communities, offering a blueprint where none existed before. What Brandy shared wasn't just her personal revelation, it was a truth that cut straight to the bone of our collective experience. Many of us have never truly experienced being loved properly, not just romantically, but holistically. Let that sink in for a moment. Never properly loved. This statement isn't about seeking pity, it's about naming an invisible wound that has gone unacknowledged for generations. This isn't just about romantic relationships, this is about a comprehensive absence, a void where unconditional acceptance, nurturing, and validation should have been. And the most striking part, this void isn't just Brandy's personal experience, it reflects a pattern, a generational inheritance of missing tools for navigating relationships, for recognizing worth, for claiming space. We often talk about love as if it's something we all understand inherently, as if it's a universal language we're all fluent in. But what if some of us were never given the dictionary? What if some of us have been speaking a different dialect entirely, one based on survival rather than thriving? The real pain, as Brandy articulated so eloquently, isn't just in what happened, it's in the realization of how long it took to grant herself permission to believe she deserves love. 30 years, 3 decades of life before she could fully embrace her own worthiness. And she's not alone. Countless Black women are still waiting for that permission slip, that blueprint for self love. This waiting isn't passive, it's active, exhausting work, maintaining careers, raising families, supporting communities, all while carrying the weight of this fundamental question: am I worthy of being loved properly? The data reveals something remarkable happening despite this question. In 2024 and 2025, nearly half, 49%, of all new businesses were started by women. And among Black owned businesses specifically, women are outpacing men as founders. This entrepreneurial surge isn't happening because the path is easy, it's happening despite formidable obstacles. These women face systemic barriers that would deter even the most determined spirits. Female only founding teams receive just 2 to 3% of venture capital. They navigate business landscapes with fewer mentorship networks while often balancing primary caregiving responsibilities. Yet they persist. Why? Because necessity breeds innovation, because survival skills, when redirected, become entrepreneurial strengths. Many of these founders, like Brandye, started their businesses due to job loss or lack of generational support. They turned survival mode into self determined economic participation. They transformed absence into presence, void into creation. But this resilience comes at a cost. In April 2025 alone, over 106,000 jobs held by Black women vanished, the largest decline across any demographic group during a period of national employment gains. This wasn't random misfortune. It reflected the disproportionate impact of anti DEI federal policies, leading employers away from hiring and retaining diverse talent. compounded by long-standing workplace discrimination. Some women pivoted toward entrepreneurship or community organizing. Others doubled down on skill building despite limited resources. The immediate effects were devastating both economically and emotionally, mirroring the trauma Brandye describes in her own journey. Yet many survivors became advocates, pushing back against policy changes affecting vulnerable communities. These losses didn't occur in isolation. They followed years where progress seemed possible, yet remained precarious without systemic change. The resulting advocacy raised national awareness around the intersectionality between race, gender, and economic security, catalyzing grassroots movements focused on equity restoration. This directly relates to Brandye's experience navigating instability while seeking dignity and love amidst societal neglect. It highlights the collective struggle and resilience among professional Black women today. Even as more women of color launch businesses, female only founding teams receive only about 2 to 6% of total venture capital funding nationwide, even less if they are non white founders. Systemic biases within investment communities leave many talented entrepreneurs under resourced compared with male counterparts, even when controlling for industry and potential returns. In response, female founders have created alternative funding networks, including peer lending circles, microgrants, and crowdfunding platforms to bypass traditional gatekeepers. Some achieve breakthrough success via unconventional paths that inspired other marginalized entrepreneurs, but most continue facing uphill battles securing capital and stability. For decades, the pipeline problem was blamed on supply rather than addressing demand side discrimination, a myth debunked repeatedly by data showing qualified candidates denied opportunity simply due to bias. Incremental increases in visibility and support have emerged, thanks partly to advocacy efforts led largely by those affected themselves. Ongoing pressure on investors and policymakers has begun shifting some practices, but persistent disparities remain glaring reminders that more work must be done before true equity is realized. This underscores Brandye's message about deservingness, not just personally, but professionally, as she navigates spaces historically closed off due solely to identity. From my conversation with Brandye, three key insights emerged that apply not just to Black women, but to anyone who has ever questioned their worthiness. First, self love is a lifelong journey, not a destination. The process of learning how to love yourself often starts much later than we expect or hope, and it's never too late. Giving yourself grace through every stage is essential. Brandye didn't discover this until her mid 40s. Some find it earlier, many find it later, and sadly, some never find it at all. Second, your story holds power, even when it's painful. Sharing our stories authentically can be both painful and healing. Vulnerability creates room for accountability and growth while inspiring others facing similar struggles. When Brandye speaks about becoming a mother at 16, surviving domestic violence, experiencing homelessness, she's not just recounting trauma. She's demonstrating that our darkest chapters don't define us, they refine us. Third, and perhaps most revolutionary, you are deserving of love in every form. Regardless of your past experiences with family, partners, or society at large, you are worthy of proper love from others and especially from yourself. This isn't just a feel good affirmation, it's a radical reclamation of worth in a world that often assigns value based on productivity, appearance, or conformity. These insights directly relate not only to personal development, but also empower entrepreneurial journeys by reminding us that worthiness is foundational before any business venture can truly thrive. What's fascinating is how these personal revelations mirror broader societal patterns. The struggle for self worth isn't just an individual journey, it's reflected in our economic systems, our workplaces, our funding structures. We've been taught that more is better, more choices, more opportunities, more access. But what if this abundance becomes overwhelming when you haven't been given the tools to navigate it? What if having more options actually makes decision making harder when you're still questioning whether you deserve to choose at all? We've been taught that hard work guarantees success. But what happens when the playing field isn't level? When some people must work twice as hard for half the recognition? When resilience becomes not just a virtue, but a requirement for basic survival? We've been taught that strength means never showing vulnerability. But what if true strength lies in acknowledging our wounds, in seeking help, in saying, I'm not okay when we are not? The conventional wisdom fails us here. The standard narratives don't account for these lived realities. This is where Brandy's journey becomes so powerful. She's not just challenging her own internalized beliefs about worthiness, she's challenging our collective assumptions about what strength looks like, what success means, what love requires. When we look at the data on Black women entrepreneurs, we see this challenge playing out in real time. These women aren't just building businesses, they're redefining entrepreneurship itself. They're creating models that prioritize community over competition, collaboration over isolation, sustainability over explosive growth. They're demonstrating that the most innovative solutions often come from those who've had to navigate the most complex problems. That resilience isn't just about enduring hardship, it's about transforming it into opportunity. But this transformation isn't automatic, it requires something fundamental: permission. Permission to believe you deserve better, permission to prioritize your well being, permission to define success on your own terms. For too many Black women, this permission has been withheld by families, by partners, by workplaces, by society, and ultimately by themselves. The internalization of unworthiness becomes a self fulfilling prophecy, limiting not just personal happiness, but professional achievement. So I ask you today, what would our world look like if we collectively issued that permission slip? If we acknowledge that worthiness isn't earned, it's inherent. If we recognized that the most revolutionary act might not be fighting harder, but loving more deeply, starting with ourselves. The implications extend far beyond individual healing. They touch every aspect of our society, from how we structure our workplaces to how we fund our entrepreneurs, from how we build our relationships to how we raise our children. I challenge you to become a permission giver, first to yourself, then to others. Write your own permission slip today. What does it say? What are you finally allowing yourself to believe, to feel, to become? What barriers of unworthiness are you ready to dismantle? Because the truth is, you don't need to wait for someone else to grant you permission. The slip has always been yours to write. The worthiness has always been yours to claim. The love has always been yours to give, starting with yourself. And in that recognition lies not just personal transformation, but the seeds of a more just, more compassionate world. One where survival is just the beginning, not the end goal. One where we all know without doubt that we deserve to thrive.